At 10:15 on a Tuesday morning, Daniel opened LinkedIn to answer a message from a former coworker. Before he could reply, a job recommendation appeared at the top of his feed. Same company, same office, same team. When he clicked it, he realized he was reading his own job description. The salary range started $18,000 above what he made. Let's call him Daniel. He'd been an operations manager at a mid-sized software company in New York for 4 years. He supervised 2 analysts, ran the weekly performance report, handled vendor problems, and presented quarterly numbers to the vice president. The posting called the role Senior Operations Manager, but almost every responsibility matched his calendar. Daniel's first reaction wasn't panic. Maybe they were adding another manager. Maybe the senior title explained the higher pay. One line mentioned supporting future growth, and he told himself that was probably it. Then he reached the qualifications. Own weekly executive reporting. That was his report. Manage 2 operations analysts. Those were his analysts. Serve as primary contact for strategic vendors. He could name every vendor without opening a file. He took a screenshot, closed the tab, and went back to work. That afternoon, he asked his manager, Melissa, a neutral question. I saw the operations posting. Are we expanding the team? Melissa didn't look surprised. We're just testing the market, she said. Nothing you need to worry about. 2 days later, Daniel noticed a recurring meeting called Operations Leadership Review, which he had attended for nearly a year, had disappeared from his calendar. The meeting wasn't canceled. Melissa had simply told the coordinator she would cover operations herself. Now the posting felt different. New York's pay transparency rules require many employers to list a compensation range they believe in good faith reflects what they expect to pay for an opportunity. That doesn't prove an existing employee is entitled to the advertised range, but Daniel could no longer dismiss the number as meaningless. He compared the posting with his actual work, line by line. The stranger pattern was what had happened before the ad appeared. 3 months earlier, Melissa asked him to train an analyst to handle routine vendor issues. She called it developing the team. Later, Daniel was told to document his reporting process in case someone needs coverage. Then his quarterly presentation was reassigned to Melissa because leadership wanted a tighter message. Each change had sounded harmless alone. Together, his visibility was shrinking while the role itself was becoming more valuable. The clearest clue arrived the following Monday. HR asked Daniel to summarize his recurring responsibilities, major projects, and open work as part of an organizational role mapping exercise. Daniel didn't accuse anyone. He replied professionally, saved the posting, and gathered written examples of his responsibilities and recent changes. Then he requested a meeting with Melissa. He asked one question: is my current position being re-leveled, and am I being considered for that level? This time, Melissa gave him a direct answer. The company was restructuring operations. Leadership had approved a higher salary band because recruiting had struggled to attract candidates at the old level. But instead of automatically moving Daniel into the new band, they had opened the upgraded role externally while deciding whether his existing position would remain. So yes, Daniel had found his own work posted for more money. But the real story wasn't simply that the company wanted to replace a cheaper employee with an expensive one. The company had separated the value of the role from the value it was assigning to the person already doing much of it. A higher-paying ad can mean a different level, new duties, a changed hiring market, or real expansion. The posting alone doesn't tell you which explanation is true. The surrounding changes do. Daniel asked HR for the written scope of the new role and the criteria being used to evaluate internal candidates. He documented which responsibilities he already performed and where his work had recently been reassigned. He didn't demand the top of the range. He made the company explain the difference between his current job and the job it was advertising. 2 weeks later, Daniel was offered an interview for the re-leveled position. He also started looking outside the company. The bigger lesson wasn't the $18,000 gap. It was how long he had accepted responsibilities that had grown faster than his title, visibility, and pay. That Tuesday morning, the posting looked like a betrayal. By the end, it had become evidence. If you found a posting that matched your responsibilities but paid significantly more, what would you compare first? The duties, the level, or the recent changes around your role? And if your manager said the company was just testing the market, what evidence would you want before deciding whether to believe that explanation?